Each day is a battle between your highest self and your impulses. Victory begins before the world wakes up. If you waste your morning, you lose your mind. But if you seize it with discipline, intention, and silence, you build a life the chaos can't touch. Start your day like a Roman soldier, calm, alert, focused. This is how the Stoic commands time, instead of being commanded by it. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Listen to me carefully. The moment you open your eyes, the war begins. Not with the world, not with others, with yourself. The bed beneath you is not comfort. It is the first battlefield. The warmth that pulls you back is not peace. It is weakness, disguised as rest. If you lose the first battle with comfort, you have already surrendered the day. You have told yourself that pleasure matters more than purpose, that ease matters more than excellence, that what feels good in the moment matters more than what serves you for life. I ruled an empire not because I was born to it, but because I conquered myself first. Every morning, before I faced the Senate, before I made decisions that shaped the fate of Rome, I faced this same choice: rise or remain, act or sleep, command or be commanded. The weak tell themselves they need more rest. They negotiate with discipline. They say tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow is built from today, and today is built from this moment, right now. When your eyes open and your mind is clear, you think rising early is about productivity. You think it is about getting more done. You are wrong. Rising early is about proving to yourself that you can do what you do not feel like doing. It is about building the muscle of self-command. It is about demonstrating that your rational mind governs your animal impulses. When you rise despite the pull of comfort, you have won your first victory. You have told yourself that you are not a slave to pleasure. You are not governed by what feels easy. You are governed by what is right, what is necessary, what serves your highest self. Here is what most people do not understand. The first hour of your day determines the quality of the remaining hours. If you begin in weakness, you carry that weakness forward. If you begin in strength, that strength compounds. The successful man does not wait until he feels ready to act. He acts, then readiness follows. The disciplined man does not wait until motivation strikes. He moves, then motivation appears. The Stoic does not wait until the conditions are perfect. He creates perfect conditions through his choices. Every morning, comfort will whisper to you. It will tell you that 5 more minutes will not matter, that you deserve rest, that you worked hard yesterday and earned this reprieve. These are lies. Comfort is not your friend. It is your enemy, dressed as kindness. The man who cannot command himself in the morning cannot command his life. The man who surrenders to his bed will surrender to his fears. The man who chooses ease over discipline has already chosen mediocrity over greatness. You want to build an unshakable life? It starts when you are shaking with cold in the early morning and you rise anyway. You want to develop unbreakable resolve? It begins when every fiber in your body wants to stay horizontal, and you choose vertical. Your first victory is getting up. Everything else follows from there. There is power in the darkness, not the darkness of ignorance, but the darkness of dawn. When the world sleeps, the wise wake. When the masses dream, the disciplined act. When the weak surrender to another hour of unconsciousness, the strong claim their first hour of freedom. Silence is strength. In the early hours, your mind is sharp, your will is strong, and your enemies are still asleep. Your enemies are not other people. They are distraction, confusion, and the endless demands of a world that wants to consume your attention. The early morning is not just a time, it is a sanctuary, a fortress where you can think without interruption, a laboratory where you can forge your character without observation, a battlefield where you can fight your most important battles without an audience. I rose before dawn not because I had to, but because I chose to. When Rome was quiet, when the streets were empty, when even the servants were still in their beds, I would sit with my thoughts. I would plan my day. I would prepare my mind for the challenges ahead. But let me ask you this. What are you doing with your early hours? Are you using them to build strength or to seek comfort? Are you using them to gain clarity or to escape reality? Are you using them to prepare for greatness or to postpone it? Most people treat mourning like an inconvenience, something to rush through, something to survive. They stumble from bed to coffee to chaos without ever stopping to ask themselves what they want from the day. They react instead of respond. They follow instead of lead. They are commanded instead of commanding. The Stoic approaches mourning differently. He sees it as his competitive advantage. While others sleep, he thinks. While others dream, he plans. While others wait for the world to tell them what to do, he decides for himself. In the early hours, you have access to something precious, your own mind, not the version of your mind that has been bombarded by emails and notifications and other people's emergencies, the clean version, the clear version, the version that can see truth without distortion. This is when your best ideas come. This is when your most important insights emerge. This is when you can solve problems that seemed impossible the night before. Why? Because your mind is not cluttered with the debris of daily life. The weak man says he is not a morning person. The Stoic says he is whatever kind of person he chooses to be. The weak man says he needs 8 hours of sleep. The Stoic says he needs 8 hours of consciousness. The weak man says he functions better later in the day. The Stoic says he functions best when he is disciplined. Here's what you must understand. Your energy is not fixed. Your capacity is not predetermined. Your potential is not limited by your preferences. You can train yourself to be alert at dawn. You can condition yourself to think clearly in the early hours. You can develop the ability to act with power when the world is still. The secret is not to fight your biology. It is to work with it. Go to bed earlier. Prepare your mind for rest. Create the conditions for regenerative sleep, then rise with purpose. Rise with intention. Rise with the knowledge that you have given yourself the greatest gift possible. Time alone with your thoughts. Time to plan your day according to your values. Time to remember who you are and who you want to become. Time to align your actions with your principles before the world tries to knock you off course. Rise before the world wakes. Own the morning. Command the day. The bed will whisper lies. The weak listen. The strong rise. But understand this. Comfort is not evil. Comfort is seductive. It promises you relief from struggle. It offers you escape from effort. It tells you that you deserve easier days and softer choices. This is the first temptation you face every morning, not the temptation of vice or cruelty or corruption, the temptation of ease, the temptation to choose what feels good over what serves you, the temptation to prioritize temporary pleasure over permanent strength. I have faced this temptation every day of my adult life. Even as emperor, even with all the power Rome could offer, I still had to choose between comfort and discipline, between staying warm under blankets and rising to meet my duties, between avoiding difficulty and embracing it. The difference between a strong man and a weak man is not that the strong man never feels the pull of comfort. It is that he feels it and chooses otherwise. He acknowledges the appeal of ease and then acts against it. He recognizes the seduction of softness and then pursues hardness. Comfort is a drug. The more you take, the more you need. The more you choose ease, the harder it becomes to choose difficulty. The more you avoid discomfort, the less capable you become of handling it. The more you pamper yourself, the weaker you grow. This is why the Stoic seeks out discomfort intentionally, not because he enjoys suffering, but because he understands that voluntary hardship builds strength. Chosen difficulty develops resilience. Deliberate resistance creates power. When you lie in bed and every part of you wants to stay there, that is not your enemy. That is your opportunity. Your opportunity to prove that you govern your impulses instead of being governed by them. Your opportunity to demonstrate that you are not a slave to what feels good. But let me ask you this. What has comfort ever given you? Has it made you stronger? Has it made you braver? Has it made you more capable of handling life's challenges? Or has it made you softer, weaker, more dependent on conditions being just right? The comfortable man needs everything to be perfect before he can act. The temperature must be ideal. The circumstances must be favorable. The timing must be convenient. He has trained himself to function only when things are easy. The disciplined man functions regardless of conditions, hot or cold, tired or rested, motivated or unmotivated. He acts. Why? Because he has trained himself through repeated encounters with discomfort. He has built his strength by choosing the hard path when the easy path was available. Every morning you have a choice, comfort or character, ease or excellence, the soft path or the strong path. Most people choose comfort and then wonder why. Their lives feel weak. They choose ease and then wonder why they lack resilience. They choose the soft path and then wonder why they cannot handle hardship. The Stoic chooses differently. He chooses discomfort because it serves him. He chooses difficulty because it strengthens him. He chooses the hard path because it leads to the destination he actually wants to reach. Your bed is warm, your room is dark, your body is tired. These are facts, but they are not commands. You do not have to obey what you feel. You do not have to follow what seems easiest. You do not have to choose what requires the least from you. The moment you rise despite wanting to stay down, you have chosen strength over weakness. The moment you act despite preferring inaction, you have chosen growth over stagnation. The moment you embrace discomfort despite craving ease, you have chosen the path of the Stoic. Comfort is the first temptation. Resist it every day, every morning, every moment it calls to you. This is how you build a life that cannot be shaken. Train the flesh, condition the vessel. Discipline in motion sharpens discipline in thought. Your body is not separate from your mind. It is not a different entity with different rules. It is the physical expression of your mental state. It is the visible manifestation of your inner discipline. If you cannot command your body, you cannot command your life. If you cannot make your flesh obey your will, you cannot make your circumstances obey your vision. If you cannot discipline what is closest to you, you cannot discipline what is distant from you. I learned this as a young man in the legions. Before you can lead soldiers, you must lead yourself. Before you can demand obedience from others, you must demonstrate obedience to your own principles. Before you can expect discipline from your ranks, you must show discipline in your person. The Vika. Body wants to stay in bed. The mind says, rise. Who wins this contest determines everything else. The body wants to avoid strain. The mind says, train. Who prevails in this struggle shapes your character. The body wants to seek pleasure. The mind says, seek purpose. Who controls this choice controls your destiny. Physical discipline is mental discipline made visible. When you force your body to move when it wants to rest, you are training your mind to act when it wants to hesitate. When you push your flesh beyond its comfort zone, you are expanding your spirit beyond its limitations. When you demand excellence from your physical self, you are developing excellence in every part of your being. This is why the Stoic does not neglect the body. Not because he worships it, but because he uses it. He understands that the body is a tool for developing character, a gymnasium for building strength, a laboratory for testing resolve. Your morning routine must include movement, not because your body needs it, though it does, not because it makes you healthier, though it will, but because it establishes your authority over your own flesh. It demonstrates that you command rather than follow. It proves that you lead rather than be led. The specific exercise matters less than the consistency. Running or lifting weights, stretching or martial arts, walking or swimming. What matters is that you do something that requires effort when effort is the last thing you want to give. What matters is that you move when movement feels impossible. What matters is that you act when action seems too hard. Here is what most people do not understand. The The body follows the mind, but it also shapes the mind. When you train your body to be strong, your mind becomes stronger. When you condition your flesh to endure, your spirit learns endurance. When you teach your physical self to persist, your mental self develops persistence. But let me ask you this. What is your body teaching your mind right now? If your flesh is soft, undisciplined, and weak, what lessons is it giving your spirit? If your physical self avoids challenge, what is it telling your mental self about difficulty? The undisciplined body teaches the mind to quit. The lazy flesh instructs the spirit to give up. The weak vessel tells the strong will that strength is impossible. This is why physical discipline is not optional for the Stoic. It is essential. It is foundational. It is the beginning of all other forms of mastery. When you wake up and your body screams for more rest, you rise. When your flesh begs for comfort, you seek discomfort. When your physical self wants to avoid effort, you double your effort. This is how you train your body to serve your highest purposes instead of your lowest impulses. Every push-up is a lesson in persistence. Every mile run is a lecture on endurance. Every weight lifted is a seminar on strength. Your body becomes your teacher, but only if you make it work hard enough to have something to teach. The body must obey before the world does. Train it well. Reflect on death, not to despair, but to wake up. Memento mori is not morbid, it is fuel. It is the most practical philosophy you can embrace. It is the most clarifying practice you can adopt. It is the most energizing meditation you can perform. You will die. This is not a possibility. It is a certainty. The only questions are when and how well you will have lived before that moment arrives. Every morning when you wake, you are one day closer to your final morning. Every breath you take brings you nearer to your last breath. Every choice you make either honors or wastes the finite time you have been given. I wrote to myself about death not because I was obsessed with endings, but because I was passionate about beginnings. Each day I reminded myself that my time was limited, so I would not waste it on trivialities. I contemplated my mortality so I would remember my priorities. I considered my eventual absence so I would make my present actions count. The man who forgets he will die lives as if he has forever. He procrastinates important decisions. He delays meaningful actions. He spends his days on distractions and his energy on nonsense. He saves his best self for later, not realizing that later might never come. The man who remembers he will die lives with urgency, without panic. He acts with purpose, without desperation. He focuses on what matters without ignoring what is immediate. He saves nothing of his true self because he knows that tomorrow is not guaranteed. This is why you must begin each morning with the end in mind. Not to make yourself sad, but to make yourself serious. Not to create fear, but to eliminate foolishness. Not to promote despair, but to produce determination. What would you do today if you knew it was your last? What would you say to the people you love? What would you focus on? What would you ignore? What would matter to you? What would seem irrelevant? This is not a morbid question. This is the most important question you can ask yourself. Most people live as if death happens to other people, as if they are somehow exempt from the universal human condition, as if their time is unlimited and their opportunities infinite. This delusion makes them careless with their days and casual with their choices. But let me ask you this. If you had 30 days to live, would you spend them scrolling through your phone? If you had 30 hours left, would you waste them on entertainment that adds nothing to your character? If you had 30 minutes remaining, would you use them complaining about things you cannot control? Death is not your enemy. Death is your teacher. It teaches you that time is precious. It instructs you that life is brief. It shows you that every moment is a gift that you did not earn and cannot keep forever. It reminds you that you are temporary, but your actions can be permanent. The Stoic begins each day with death on his mind, not to be morbid, but to be realistic, not to be depressed, but to be determined, not to give up, but to get serious. He knows that his days are numbered, so he makes His days count. You do not have infinite time to become the person you want to be. You do not have unlimited opportunities to do the work you were meant to do. You do not have endless chances to love the people who matter to you. You have now. You have today. You have this moment. The end is coming whether you think about it or not. The question is whether thinking about it will motivate you to make the most of the time you have left. Will remembering your mortality inspire you to live with greater intention? Will considering your death encourage you to embrace your life more fully? Begin with the end in mind. Let the reality of death wake you up to the gift of life. Start. Inward. Write. Reflect. Confront your weaknesses before life does. The unexamined life is not worth living, but the unexamined morning is not worth having. Before you step into the world, you must step into yourself. Before you face external challenges, you must face internal truths. Every morning I wrote to myself, not for posterity, though these words have somehow survived. Not for others to read, though they apparently have. I wrote for clarity. I wrote for honesty. I wrote to understand myself better than I understood the empire I ruled. Writing is thinking made visible. When you put your thoughts on paper, you cannot hide from them. You cannot pretend they are better than they are. You cannot avoid their contradictions or ignore their implications. You must face them directly, honestly, completely. The man who does not examine himself regularly becomes a stranger to himself. He acts from habit instead of intention. He reacts from impulse instead of principle. He lives automatically instead of consciously. He becomes a passenger in his own life instead of the pilot. But the man who reflects daily knows himself deeply. He understands his patterns, his triggers, his strengths, his vulnerabilities. He can predict his reactions and prepare for his challenges. He can see his blind spots and correct his course before he crashes. This is why your morning routine must include self-examination, not because you are broken and need fixing, but because you are complex and need understanding, not because you are weak and need criticism, but because you are strong and need direction. Ask yourself hard questions. Where did I fail yesterday? What did I do well? What triggered my anger? What brought me peace? What thoughts served me? What thoughts hindered me? What actions aligned with my values? What actions contradicted my principles? Most people avoid these questions because they are uncomfortable. They prefer to live in the illusion that they are always right, always justified, always the victim of circumstances beyond their control. But the Stoic seeks truth over comfort. He wants clarity over consolation. He needs honesty over harmony. Here is what most people do not understand. Self-examination is not self-criticism. It is not about beating yourself up for your mistakes. It is about learning from them. It is not about dwelling on your failures. It is about extracting wisdom from them. It is not about punishing yourself for your weaknesses. It is about strengthening yourself despite them. When you examine yourself honestly, you discover patterns you never noticed. You see connections you never made. You understand motivations you never acknowledged. You gain insight into why you do what you do and how you can do it better. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you sat quietly with yourself and truly examined your thoughts, your actions, your motivations? When did you last look honestly at your successes and failures without making excuses? When did you last confront your weaknesses without defending them? The world will judge you whether you examine yourself or not. Others will evaluate your actions whether you understand them or not. Life will test your character, whether you know your character or not. But if you examine yourself first, you will be prepared for external judgment. If you understand yourself deeply, you will not be surprised by others' evaluations. Write every morning, even if it is just a few sentences, even if it is just a simple reflection on yesterday and a basic intention for today. Put your thoughts on paper where you can see them clearly. Make your internal dialogue external so you can evaluate it objectively. A man must examine himself before he judges the world. Know yourself first. Everything else follows from there. You cannot chase ease and expect strength. Begin your day with resistance. It builds your resolve. The modern world has trained you to avoid discomfort at all costs, to seek pleasure and flee pain, to choose convenience and reject challenge. But this training is making you weak. Discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort is your teacher. It shows you where your limits are so you can expand them. It reveals where your character is weak so you can strengthen it. It exposes where your will is soft so you can harden it. The Stoic does not wait for discomfort to find him. He finds discomfort first. He seeks out challenges before challenges seek him out. He creates difficulties so he can learn to overcome them. He manufactures resistance so he can build strength. I did not become emperor by avoiding hard things. I became emperor by doing hard things until they became easy. I did not develop strength by choosing comfort. I developed strength by choosing discomfort deliberately, consistently, strategically. Every morning you have a choice. You can begin your day by seeking what feels good, or you can begin by doing what serves you. You can start with pleasure or start with purpose. You can choose the easy path that leads nowhere or the difficult path that leads somewhere worth going. The weak man begins his day by checking his phone. He feeds his mind on other people's problems, other people's opinions, other people's emergencies. He starts in reaction mode, in passive mode, in victim mode. He gives away his power before he has even used it. The strong man begins his day by challenging himself. He exercises when he wants to rest. He reads when he wants to scroll. He thinks when he wants to be entertained. He creates when he wants to consume. He acts when he wants to react. Here is what you must understand. The difficulty you avoid in the morning multiplies throughout the day. The discomfort you postpone in the early hours returns with interest in the later hours. The challenge you dodge at dawn hunts you down at dusk, but the discomfort you embrace in the morning diminishes throughout the day. The difficulty you tackle early becomes easier as the hours pass. The challenge you face when you are fresh gives you strength to face whatever comes when you are tired. This is not masochism. This is not about enjoying pain or seeking suffering for its own sake. This is about understanding that discomfort is the price of growth. That challenge is the cost of strength. That difficulty is the investment that pays dividends in capability. But let me ask you this. What discomfort are you avoiding right now? What difficult thing do you know you should do but keep postponing? What challenge do you know would make you stronger but you keep dodging? What resistance do you know would build your character but you keep circumventing? The answer to these questions is where your morning routine should begin, not with what feels good, but with what serves you, not with what is easy, but with what is necessary, not with what you want to do, but with what you need to do. Cold shower instead of hot water, exercise instead of extra sleep, reading instead of scrolling, writing instead of consuming, planning instead of reacting, thinking instead of being, entertained. These are small discomforts that create large advantages. The man who begins his day with discomfort builds tolerance for discomfort. The man who starts with challenge develops capacity for challenge. The man who opens with difficulty gains power over difficulty. This is not punishment. This is preparation. Your day will bring you problems you did not choose, challenges you did not request, difficulties you did not want. If you have prepared yourself with chosen discomfort, you will handle these unwanted challenges with strength. If you have not prepared yourself, you will be overwhelmed by them. Discomfort first, power later. This is the sequence. This is the formula. This is the way. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who breathes through them. Start each morning in stillness. Your breath is the bridge between your body and mind, between your conscious and unconscious, between your will and your automatic responses. Master your breath, and you master yourself. Most people breathe unconsciously. They let their breath follow their emotions instead of using their breath to lead their emotions. When they are angry, they breathe fast and shallow. When they are anxious, they breathe quick and irregular. When they are stressed, they breathe tight and restricted. They are slaves to their breathing patterns instead of masters of them. The Stoic breathes intentionally. He uses his breath as a tool for self-command. He understands that he cannot always control what happens to him, but he can always control how he breathes in response to what happens to him. And by controlling his breath, he controls his state of mind. I learned this not from books, but from experience. When the pressures of leadership threatened to overwhelm me, when the weight of empire pressed down on my shoulders, when the demands of duty seemed impossible to meet, I returned to my breath. I used it as my anchor, my center, my refuge. Breathing is the one thing you do that is both voluntary and involuntary. You can let it happen automatically, or you can direct it consciously. You can breathe reactively or responsively. You can breathe like a victim or like a victor. The choice is always yours. When you wake up, before you do anything else, before you check your phone or think about your day or worry about your problems, breathe. Breathe slowly, breathe deeply, breathe intentionally. Let your breath set the tone for everything that follows. Your morning breath work is not meditation, though it can be meditative. It is not relaxation, though it can be relaxing. It is training. It is practice. It is preparation for the moments when you will need to control your state of mind under pressure. Here is what happens when you breathe consciously. Your nervous system shifts from stress to stability. Your mind moves from reaction to response. Your body transitions from tension to strength. Your spirit evolves from anxiety to equanimity. This is not theory. This is physiology. But let me ask you this. How often do you pay attention to your breathing? How frequently do you use your breath as a tool for self-control? How regularly? Do you breathe intentionally instead of automatically? How consistently do you return to your breath when you need to return to yourself? The untrained mind is like a wild horse. It goes wherever it wants, whenever it wants, however it wants. It is ruled by impulse, driven by emotion, controlled by circumstance, but the breath is like a bridle. It gives you a way to guide your mind, to direct your attention, to command your mental state. When your thoughts are racing, slow your breath. When your emotions are overwhelming, deepen your breath. When your mind is scattered, focus on your breath. When your spirit is agitated, return to your breath. This is not escape from reality. This is engagement with reality from a position of strength. The breath is always available to you in times of crisis and times of calm, in moments of pressure and moments of peace, in situations of chaos and situations of order. You cannot always control your circumstances, but you can always control your breathing. And by controlling your breathing, you control your response to your circumstances. Start each day with conscious breathing, not because you need to relax, though you might, not because you need to meditate, though you may, but because you need to establish your authority over your own mind. You need to demonstrate that you control your internal state, regardless of external conditions. 5 minutes of intentional breathing in the morning creates hours of intentional living throughout the day. This is not time wasted. This is the best investment you can make, an investment in your own self-command. Control the breath, control the mind. Start there. Everything else becomes possible. If your mind is the battlefield, your phone is the enemy's weapon. Win by refusing to engage. The first hour of your day should belong to you, not to the digital chaos that wants to consume your attention, scatter your focus, and steal your peace before you have even begun to live. Your phone is not neutral. It is not a harmless tool sitting innocently on your nightstand. It is a weapon designed to capture your mind, fragment your thoughts, and addict you to distraction. Every notification is an attack on your attention. Every alert is an assault on your awareness. Every buzz is a bid for your mental energy. The moment you reach for your phone in the morning, you surrender your sovereignty. You hand control of your mind to algorithms designed by strangers to profit from your attention. You give away your power to platforms that care nothing for your peace, your purpose, or your potential. I ruled an empire without a phone. I made decisions that affected millions without checking social media. I faced crises and solved problems without scrolling through other people's opinions about things that did not matter. You can surely handle your morning routine without digital assistance. The phone promises connection, but delivers isolation. It promises information, but delivers confusion. It promises entertainment, but delivers emptiness. It promises to make your life better, but makes your mind weaker. It promises to save you time, but steals your attention. When you wake up and immediately reach for your phone, you train your brain to be reactive instead of responsive. You condition your mind to be passive instead of active. You teach your attention to be scattered instead of focused. You develop the habit of consumption instead of creation. But let me ask you this. What has your phone ever given you in the morning that made your day better? What urgent message have you received at dawn that could not have waited until after you had taken care of yourself? What crisis has been solved by scrolling through your feeds before you had even gotten out of bed? The answer is nothing. Your morning phone time adds nothing to your life and subtracts everything from your potential. It gives you other people's problems and takes away your own power. It provides you with digital noise and costs you mental clarity. It offers you virtual stimulation and demands real energy. The strong man puts down the phone and picks up his power. He chooses presence over distraction. He selects depth over superficiality. He prefers his own thoughts to other people's opinions. He values his inner world more than the outer noise. Your morning routine should be a phone-free zone, not because technology is evil, but because your attention is precious. Not because connection is bad, but because self-connection comes first. Not because information is worthless, but because the right information at the right time is what matters. Create a boundary between your morning routine and your digital life. Charge your phone outside your bedroom. Use an analog alarm clock. Keep your phone in another room until after you have completed your morning practices. This is not extreme. This is essential. The phone can wait. Your emails can wait. Your social media can wait. Your news feeds can wait. The urgent is rarely important, and the important is rarely urgent. What cannot wait is your commitment to starting your day with intention instead of distraction. Here is what happens when you eliminate your phone from your morning routine. Your mind becomes clearer. Your focus becomes sharper. Your energy becomes stronger. Your purpose becomes more apparent. Your peace becomes more stable. This is not coincidence. This is cause and effect. The digital world wants to colonize your consciousness. It wants to occupy your mental territory and exploit your attention for profit. The Stoic resists this colonization. He protects his mind like he would protect his home. He guards his attention like he would guard his treasure. Put down the phone. Pick up your power. Your morning belongs to you, not to the machine in your pocket. Claim it. Protect it. Use it wisely. Routine is not boring. It is sacred. What you do every morning, you become. Your character is not formed by your intentions or your aspirations or your dreams. Your character is formed by your actions, and your actions are formed by your habits, and your habits are formed by what you repeat. Excellence is not an act. It is a habit. Virtue is not a feeling. It is a practice. Strength is not a gift. It is a discipline. You do not become excellent by doing excellent things occasionally. You become excellent by doing good things consistently. I did not become a philosopher by thinking philosophical thoughts once in a while. I became a philosopher by reflecting on philosophical principles every single day. I did not develop self-discipline by exercising self-control in moments of crisis. I developed self-discipline by practicing self-control in moments of calm. The weak man believes that routine is restrictive. He thinks that habits limit his freedom. He imagines that consistency constrains his creativity, but he is wrong. Routine does not restrict freedom. Routine creates freedom. Good habits do not limit options. Good habits expand possibilities. When you have a strong morning routine, you do not have to waste mental energy deciding what to do when you wake up. You do not have to negotiate with yourself about whether to exercise or meditate or read or write. You just do it. Your routine decides for you, which frees your mind to focus on more important decisions throughout the day. The disciplined man understands that routine is the foundation of achievement. That consistency is the mother of mastery. That repetition is the father of skill. He knows that what he does daily matters more than what he does occasionally, that what he repeats regularly shapes him more than what he attempts randomly. Your morning routine is your daily vote for the kind of person you want to become. Every time you wake up early, you vote for discipline. Every time you exercise, you vote for strength. Every time you read, you vote for wisdom. Every time you reflect, you vote for self-awareness. Every time you breathe consciously, you vote for peace. But let me ask you this. What are you voting for with your current morning habits? If you scroll through your phone, you're voting for distraction. If you stay in bed too long, you are voting for weakness. If you skip exercise, you are voting for softness. If you avoid reflection, you are voting for unconsciousness. The votes you cast with your daily actions determine the election results of your life. You cannot vote for weakness every morning and expect strength to win. You cannot vote for distraction every morning and expect focus to prevail. You cannot vote for comfort every morning and expect discipline to triumph. Here is what most people do not understand about routine. It is not what you do once that transforms you. It is what you do repeatedly. It is not the perfect day that changes your life. It is the consistent days. It is not the extraordinary moment that defines you. It is the ordinary moments, repeated thousands of times. A single morning routine means nothing. 1,000 morning routines mean everything. One day of exercise is insignificant. A year of exercise is transformative. One morning of reflection is interesting. A decade of reflection is life-changing. The compound effect of consistency is the most powerful force in personal development. Small actions repeated consistently over time create massive results. Tiny habits, practiced daily without fail, produce extraordinary transformations. This is not theory. This is mathematics. Your routine should be simple enough to sustain and powerful enough to matter. It should be challenging enough to grow you and manageable enough to maintain. It should be specific enough to follow and flexible enough to adapt. It should be yours, not someone else's. Start small if you must, but start. Begin with 10 minutes if that is all you have, but begin. Choose 3 things if you cannot manage 5, but choose. The perfect routine that you never follow is worthless. The imperfect routine that you practice daily is priceless. You are what you repeat. Make sure you are repeating things worth becoming. Assume the worst. Prepare to endure it. Then you will be ready for anything. The Stoic does not live in denial about the difficulties that await him. He does not pretend that life will be easy or that problems will avoid him. He prepares for hardship so that when hardship comes, he is not surprised, not overwhelmed, not defeated. This is not pessimism. This is preparation. This is not negativity. This is realism. This is not expecting the worst to happen. This is being ready if the worst does happen. There is a profound difference between assuming disaster and preparing for difficulty. Every morning, I would spend time imagining the challenges I might face that day, not to make myself anxious, but to make myself ready, not to create fear, but to eliminate surprise, not to expect problems, but to be prepared for them if they came. The untrained mind hopes for the best and is crushed when the worst arrives. The trained mind prepares for difficulties and is grateful when they do not come. The untrained mind is optimistic about outcomes it cannot control. The trained mind is confident about responses it can control. What could go wrong today? What problems might emerge? What challenges might arise? What setbacks might occur? These are not depressing questions. These are empowering questions. They force you to think through potential difficulties before you are in the middle of them. When you visualize challenges in advance, You rehearse your responses in calm moments instead of discovering them in crisis moments. You practice wisdom when you have time to think instead of scrambling for solutions when you have no time to prepare. You choose your reactions when you are centered instead of defaulting to reactions when you are stressed. The boxer does not enter the ring hoping his opponent will not hit him. He enters the ring prepared to be hit and trained to respond effectively when he is hit. The soldier does not march into battle assuming the enemy will not attack. He marches into battle ready for attack and skilled at counterattack. But let me ask you this. Do you prepare for difficulties, or do you just hope they will not happen? Do you rehearse your responses to potential problems, or do you just assume you will figure it out when problems arise? Do you strengthen yourself for challenges, or do you just wish challenges would avoid you? The man who does not prepare for difficulty is defeated by difficulty. The man who assumes everything will go smoothly is crushed when things go roughly. The man who expects perfect conditions is paralyzed when conditions are imperfect. This is not their fault for being optimistic. This is their fault for being unprepared. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This ancient practice trains you to consider potential setbacks so you can develop responses to them, not because you want these setbacks to happen, but because you want to be ready if they do happen. Your car might break down today. Your computer might crash. Your meeting might be canceled. Your plans might be disrupted. Your health might be challenged. Your relationships might be tested. Your patience might be tried. These possibilities are not curses. They are probabilities. When you visualize these challenges in your morning routine, you rob them of their power to surprise you. You develop responses before you need them. You build resilience before you require it. You create strength before you must use it. This does not make you negative. This makes you prepared. This does not make you pessimistic. This makes you powerful. This does not make you expect the worst. This makes you ready for whatever comes. The day will bring what the day brings. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how ready you are for what happens to you. Visualize the attack. Prepare your defense, then face whatever. Comes with confidence instead of confusion. Assume the worst. Prepare to endure it. Then you will be ready for anything. Most waste their mornings on nonsense. You, on the other hand, must be surgical. Precision is power. In a world that profits from your distraction, attention becomes the most valuable currency. In an age that fragments your focus, concentration becomes the rarest skill. In a time that scatters your mind, the ability to direct your mental energy becomes your greatest advantage. Focus is not just helpful. Focus is everything. Without focus, your efforts scatter. Without concentration, your energy dissipates. Without attention, your potential remains unrealized. The unfocused man works hard but accomplishes little. The focused man works smart and achieves much. I had the resources of an empire at my disposal, but my most precious resource was not gold or silver or military might. It was my ability to focus my mind on what mattered most, to direct my attention to what required it, to concentrate my mental energy on what deserved it. The modern world is designed to steal your focus. Every app wants your attention. Every platform demands your engagement. Every notification claims urgency. Every distraction presents itself as important. But most of what competes for your focus is not worth having it. Your morning is when your focus is strongest. Your attention is sharpest. Your concentration is deepest. This is when you should tackle your most important work, not waste time on trivial activities. This is when you should engage your highest priorities, not scatter your energy on random tasks. The focused morning creates a focused day. The scattered morning creates a scattered day. The intentional morning creates an intentional day. The reactive morning creates a reactive day. How you begin determines how you continue. How you start shapes how you finish. But let me ask you this. What gets your best focus in the morning? What receives your sharpest attention when your mind is clearest? What claims your deepest concentration when your mental energy is strongest? Is it your most important work or your least important distractions? Most people give their best mental energy to other people's priorities. They check email first thing and immediately become reactive. They scroll social media and immediately become scattered. They consume news and immediately become anxious. They start their day responding to what others think is urgent instead of focusing on what they know is important. The Stoic guards his focus like he guards his life. He protects his attention like he protects his virtue. He defends his concentration like he defends his character. He knows that what gets his focus gets his future. What claims his attention shapes his destiny. Focus is not about doing more things. Focus is about doing the right things. It is not about working faster. It is about working smarter. It is not about being busy. It is about being effective. It is not about filling time. It is about maximizing impact. The focused man identifies his priorities and protects them from interference. He knows what matters most and gives it his best mental energy. He understands what moves him forward and concentrates on those activities. He recognizes what serves his purpose and eliminates everything else. Your focus should follow your values, not your impulses. Your attention should serve your goals, not other people's agendas. Your concentration should align with your principles, not random opportunities that present themselves throughout the day. Create boundaries around your focused time. Eliminate distractions before they can interfere. Turn off notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. Put your phone in another room. Create an environment that supports concentration instead of undermining it. The unfocused life is the unremarkable life. The scattered mind produces scattered results. The distracted person achieves distracted outcomes. But the focused life is the powerful life. The concentrated mind produces concentrated results. The attentive person achieves intentional outcomes. In a world of infinite distractions, focus becomes your competitive advantage. In an age of constant noise, attention becomes your secret weapon. In a time of endless options, the ability to choose what matters becomes your defining skill. Focus is the new wealth. Protect it, direct it, use it wisely. No matter what comes at you today, your peace is not negotiable. Guard it with everything. Deep within you exists a fortress that no external force can breach, a sanctuary that no circumstance can violate, a refuge that no person can disturb. This is your inner citadel. This is your true home. This is what you must protect above all else. The world will attack your peace today, not maliciously perhaps, but inevitably. Traffic will test your patience. People will challenge your calm. Problems will threaten your equilibrium. Setbacks will assault your serenity. This is not personal. This is just life. But your response is personal. Your response is your choice. You cannot control what happens around you, but you can absolutely control what happens within you. You cannot command external circumstances, but you can command internal responses. You cannot dictate what others do, but you can dictate what you do. This is your power. This is your freedom. This is your responsibility. I ruled an empire, but the most important territory I governed was my own mind. I commanded legions, but the most crucial army I led was my own thoughts. I faced external enemies who threatened Rome, but the most dangerous enemies were internal emotions that threatened my peace. Your inner citadel is not a place you retreat to when things go wrong. It is a place you operate from when things get difficult. It is not an escape from reality. It is your foundation for engaging reality effectively. It is not where you hide from challenges. It is where you find strength to face challenges. This inner sanctuary is built through practice, through daily discipline, through repeated choices to remain calm when provoked, through consistent decisions to stay centered when chaos surrounds you, through regular commitments to peace regardless of external pressure. But let me ask you this. What threatens your inner peace most often? What external circumstances have the power to disturb your internal calm? What situations can knock you off your center? What people can penetrate your defenses and steal your serenity? The answer to these questions reveals where your citadel needs stronger walls, where your defenses need reinforcement, where your practice needs more attention. The goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to become unshakable. The man with a weak inner citadel is controlled by his circumstances. When things go well, he feels good. When things go poorly, he feels bad. His emotional state depends on external conditions. His peace depends on other people's behavior. His calm depends on situations he cannot control. The man with a strong inner citadel controls his responses regardless of circumstances. When things go well, he remains centered. When things go poorly, he remains centered. His emotional state depends on internal choices. His peace depends on his own discipline. His calm depends on principles he can control. Your morning routine is when you strengthen the walls of your inner citadel, when you practice the disciplines that protect your peace, when you build the habits that guard your calm, when you develop the skills that maintain your center. Meditation strengthens your citadel. Reflection fortifies your defenses. Reading builds your walls. Writing clears your battlements. Exercise trains your guards. Breathing deepens your moat. Every spiritual discipline adds to your inner security. The attacks will come today. Your patience will be tested. Your calm will be challenged. Your peace will be threatened. But if you have built your inner citadel strong, these attacks will not penetrate your defenses. They will break against your walls like waves against a cliff. This is not about becoming passive or detached. This is about becoming unshakable and effective. This is not about avoiding conflict or challenge. This is about facing conflict and challenge from a position of strength. This is not about suppressing emotions. This is about governing emotions. Your inner citadel is your true wealth. Your peace is your real treasure. Your calm is your actual power. Everything else can be taken from you. Your money can be stolen. Your possessions can be lost. Your reputation can be damaged. But your inner citadel can only be surrendered, never conquered. Protect the inner citadel. Guard it with your life. It is your life. The weak move only when they feel like it. The Stoic moves because it is right. Emotion is a poor guide for action. It changes with the weather, shifts with circumstances, and bends with pressure. But purpose is constant. Duty is unchanging. What is right remains right regardless of how you feel about it. You will not always feel motivated. You will not always feel inspired. You will not always feel energetic or enthusiastic or excited about what you need to do. If you wait for the right feeling before taking the right action, you will wait forever. Feelings follow actions more often than actions follow feelings. I did not always feel like being emperor. There were mornings when the weight of responsibility felt crushing, days when the burden of leadership seemed unbearable, moments when I would have preferred the simple life of a private citizen. But my feelings about my duty did not change my duty. My emotions about my role did not alter my role. The emotional man is ruled by his moods. When he feels good, he acts. When he feels bad, he stops. When he feels motivated, he moves. When he feels discouraged, he quits. His actions depend on his feelings, which means his actions are unreliable, inconsistent, and weak. The purposeful man is ruled by his principles. Whether he feels good or bad, he acts according to what is right. Whether he feels motivated or discouraged, he moves according to what serves his purpose. His actions depend on his values, which means his actions are reliable, consistent, and strong. Your emotions are not evil, but they are not reliable guides for behavior. They provide information about your internal state, but they should not dictate your external actions. They can inform your choices, but they should not control your choices. They are data, not commands. But let me ask you this. Do you act based on how you feel or based on what you know is right? Do you follow your emotions or your principles? Do you move when motivated or move regardless of motivation? Do you wait for inspiration or create inspiration through action? The man who waits for the right feeling before doing the right thing will rarely do the right thing. The right feeling is often the result of doing the right thing, not the prerequisite for it. Action creates emotion more often than emotion creates action. You do not feel your way to a new way of acting. You act your way to a new way of feeling. You do not wait until you feel disciplined to be disciplined. You be disciplined and then feel disciplined. You do not wait until you feel strong to act strong. You act strong and then feel strong. Purpose gives you power over your emotions instead of giving your emotions power over you. When you know why you are doing something, how you feel about doing it becomes irrelevant. When you understand your duty, your desire to avoid that duty becomes meaningless. When you recognize what serves your highest good, your preference for what feels good becomes secondary. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending they do not exist. This is about recognizing that emotions are temporary while purpose is permanent. Feelings are changing while principles are constant. Moods are fleeting while values are enduring. Your morning routine should be purpose-driven, not emotion-driven. You should exercise not because you feel like exercising, but because exercise serves your health. You should read not because you feel like reading, but because reading serves your mind. You should reflect not because you feel like reflecting, but because reflection serves your growth. When you consistently choose purpose over emotion, you develop emotional resilience. When you repeatedly act according to principle instead of feeling, you build character strength. When you habitually do what is right regardless of how you feel, you become someone who can be counted on. The world needs people who act based on what is right, not what feels right, who move based on what serves others, not what serves their moods, who choose based on principles, not preferences, who lead with purpose, not with feelings, purpose before emotion, duty before desire, what is right before what feels right. This is the way of the Stoic. This is the path to strength. Your life is not just yours. Serve others. Lift the world. That's how you rise. The greatest error you can make is believing that your existence is separate from everyone else's, that your success is independent of others' well-being, that your purpose is purely personal. You are part of something larger than yourself, and your highest fulfillment comes from serving that larger whole. The ego whispers lies about independence. It tells you that you are self-made, self-sufficient, self-contained. It convinces you that your achievements are yours alone, your struggles are uniquely difficult, your problems are more important than anyone else's. But the ego is a poor philosopher and a worse guide to living. You are connected to everything and everyone around you. The air you breathe was exhaled by trees you will never see. The food you eat was grown by farmers you will never meet. The knowledge you possess was discovered by thinkers you will never know. The society you benefit from was built by generations who came before you. I understood this as emperor. My role was not to serve myself, but to serve Rome. My power was not for my pleasure, but for the people's protection. My position was not for my glory, but for the greater good. The moment I forgot this, I became a worse leader and a lesser man. The man who lives only for himself lives a small life. The man who serves only his own interests serves small interests. The man who cares only about his own success cares about small success. He may gain the whole world but lose his soul. He may accumulate much but contribute little. But the man who lives for something larger than himself lives a large life. The man who serves the common good serves a great cause. The man who cares about others' well-being cares about something that matters. He may gain less for himself, but contribute more to the world. Your morning routine should include consideration of others. Not just what you can get from the day, but what you can give to the day. Not just how you can improve your own life, but how you can improve other lives. Not just what serves your interests, but what serves the common interest. But let me ask you this. When you plan your day, do you think only about what you want to accomplish for yourself? When you set your intentions, do you consider only your own goals? When you imagine success, do you picture only your own advancement? Or do you include others in your vision? The self-centered life is ultimately self-defeating. The more you focus only on yourself, the smaller yourself becomes. The more you care only about your own problems, the larger your problems appear. The more you serve only your own interests, the less interesting your life becomes. Service to others is not self-sacrifice. Service to others is self-realization. When you contribute to something larger than yourself, you become larger than you were. When you serve the common good, you discover your uncommon potential. When you lift others, you are lifted. This does not mean neglecting your own needs or ignoring your own growth. It means understanding that your needs are best met, and your growth is best achieved when you consider the needs and growth of others. It means recognizing that individual flourishing and collective flourishing are connected, not competing. The Stoic serves others not because he has to, but because he gets to. Not because it is required, but because it is rewarding. Not because he should, but because he wants to. He understands that service is not a burden, but a privilege. Not a duty, but a joy. Not a sacrifice, but a satisfaction. You have talents that others need. You have knowledge that could help someone else. You have resources that could benefit your community. You have abilities that could solve problems beyond your own. These are not accidents. These are opportunities. Your purpose is not just personal. Your calling is not just individual. Your mission is not just about you. You are here to contribute to something that will outlast you, benefit others beyond you, and matter more than you. Start each morning by asking not just what you can get from the day, but what you can give to the day. Not just how you can be served, but how you can serve. Not just what the world can do for you, but what you can do for the world. Live for the whole, not the ego. Serve others, lift the world. That's how you rise. You don't need more information. You need fewer distractions. Choose what strengthens you. Eliminate the rest. In an age drowning in data, wisdom lies not in consuming more, but in filtering better. Not in knowing everything, but in understanding what matters. Not in staying informed about all things, but in staying focused on the right things. The modern world produces infinite noise and very little signal. Endless information and minimal wisdom. Constant updates and rare insights. Perpetual stimulation and precious little substance. You are not suffering from a lack of input. You are suffering from an excess of irrelevant input. Every piece of information you consume either strengthens you or weakens you. Every idea you encounter either elevates your thinking or degrades it. Every message you receive either moves you toward your goals or away from them. There is no neutral information. Everything is either signal or noise. I had access to intelligence from across the known world. Reports from governors, messages from generals, updates from merchants, letters from philosophers. But I learned to distinguish between what was urgent and what was important, between what demanded immediate attention and what deserved deep consideration, between noise and signal. The weak mind consumes everything indiscriminately. It treats all information as equally valuable. It assumes that more input equals better output. It believes that staying informed about everything is necessary for making good decisions. But this approach leads to mental indigestion, information overload, analysis paralysis. The strong mind curates carefully. It chooses its inputs intentionally. It filters information through its values and priorities. It asks, not what can I know, but what should I know? It focuses on signal and ignores noise. Your morning information diet is crucial. What you feed your mind in the first hour shapes your thinking for the remaining hours. If you consume junk information, you will think junk thoughts. If you absorb shallow content, you will have shallow insights. If you fill your mind with other people's problems, you will have less mental space for solving your own, But let me ask you this. What information are you consuming in the morning? What content are you feeding your mind when it is most receptive? What messages are you allowing to shape your thinking when your thoughts are most malleable? Are you choosing signal or accepting noise? The news is mostly noise. Social media is mostly noise. Gossip is noise. Drama is noise. Other people's opinions about things that don't affect you are noise. Celebrity updates are noise. Political arguments that you cannot influence are noise. Most of what competes for your attention is noise masquerading as signal. What is signal? Ideas that improve your thinking, information that helps you make better decisions, knowledge that increases your capabilities, wisdom that deepens your understanding, content that serves your growth, messages that align with your values, information that moves you toward your goals. Cut the noise. Be ruthless about it. Unsubscribe from sources that add no value. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy. Avoid news that makes you anxious without making you better. Eliminate content that entertains but does not educate. Remove information that stimulates but does not strengthen. Choose the signal. Be intentional about it. Read books that challenge your thinking. Study ideas that expand your understanding. Consume content that improves your capabilities. Follow sources that inspire your growth. Seek information that serves your purpose. The highest performers in every field are excellent at filtering information. They know what to ignore as much as they know what to focus on. They understand that attention is finite and therefore precious. They protect their mental bandwidth like they protect their time. Your mind is like a garden. You can plant useful thoughts or allow weeds to grow wild. You can cultivate wisdom or let confusion take root. You can tend carefully to what you want to grow or let anything and everything sprout randomly. The choice is yours. But the choice has consequences. Information is not knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom is not action. But the right information, filtered through the right framework, can become knowledge. The right knowledge, applied through the right principles, can become wisdom. The right wisdom, executed through the right actions, can transform your life. Cut the noise. Choose the signal. Your mind deserves better than mental junk food. You are the sculptor and the stone. Every morning, ask, what must be chiseled away? Self-improvement is not about adding more to yourself. It is about removing what does not belong, not about acquiring new virtues, but about eliminating old vices, not about becoming someone different, but about revealing who you truly are beneath the layers of bad habits, false beliefs, and accumulated weakness. The sculptor does not add marble to create a statue. He removes everything that is not the statue. He chips away the excess, the unnecessary, the imperfect. What remains is the masterpiece that was always there, waiting to be revealed. You must approach yourself with the same clarity and the same courage. Every day you make choices that either add to your character or subtract from it, that either build you up or break you down, that either move you toward your ideal self or away from it. Most people focus on what they want to add to their lives. The Stoic focuses on what he needs to remove from his character. I examined myself each evening, but I also planned my examination each morning. I would consider not just what I wanted to accomplish that day, but what I wanted to eliminate, what thoughts served me, and what thoughts hindered me, what habits strengthened me, and what habits weakened me, what behaviors aligned with my values, and what behaviors contradicted them. The honest man asks himself hard questions. Where did I act from ego instead of wisdom? Where did I choose comfort instead of discipline? Where did I follow my impulses instead of my principles? Where did I take the easy path instead of the right path? Where did I serve myself instead of serving others? These questions are not comfortable, but they are necessary. They are not pleasant, but they are productive. They are not ego-flattering, but they are character-building. The man who cannot face truth about himself cannot change truth about himself. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you honestly evaluated your actions, your thoughts, your motivations? When did you last examine whether your daily choices align with your stated values? When did you last ask yourself what you need to eliminate from your character? Most people are more honest about their possessions than their personalities. They will readily admit when their house needs cleaning, but refuse to acknowledge when. Their character needs improving. They will easily identify what needs to be removed from their closet, but resist recognizing what needs to be removed from their conduct. The courageous man faces his flaws without flinching. He acknowledges his weaknesses without making excuses. He recognizes his failures without shifting blame. He sees his shortcomings without seeking sympathy. He owns his mistakes without avoiding responsibility. This is not self-hatred. This is self-honesty. This is not self-punishment. This is self-improvement. This is not self-attack. This is self-awareness. The man who cannot see his own faults clearly cannot correct them effectively. Your morning review should be surgical, precise, honest, productive. What thought patterns served you yesterday, and what thought patterns hindered you? What emotional reactions helped you, and what emotional reactions hurt you? What behaviors moved you forward, and what behaviors held you back? Identify one thing to eliminate today, one thought that does not serve you, one habit that weakens you, one behavior that contradicts your values, one pattern that holds you back. Focus on removal, not addition, subtraction, not multiplication, elimination, not accumulation. The disciplined man becomes great not by adding greatness to himself, but by removing smallness from himself, not by acquiring strength, but by eliminating weakness, not by gaining virtue, but by losing vice. The path to excellence is paved with eliminated imperfections. Each morning you have the opportunity to chisel away something that does not belong, to remove something that diminishes you, to eliminate something that holds you back, to cut away something that contradicts who you want to become. You are the sculptor and the stone. The artist and the artwork, the judge and the defendant, take responsibility for both roles. Be honest in your assessment. Be ruthless in your removal. Be committed to your improvement. What must be chiseled away today? Identify it. Face it. Remove it. This is how marble becomes masterpiece. This is how you become who you were meant to be. Do what is yours to do. Then release it. Peace is the reward of the disciplined. This is the final wisdom. After you have prepared thoroughly, acted decisively, and given your best effort, you must learn to let go of the outcome. You must understand that your job is to control what you can control and release what you cannot. You can control your preparation. You cannot control the results. You can control your effort. You cannot control the circumstances. You can control your choices. You cannot control the consequences. You can control your response. You cannot control what happens next. The anxious man tries to control everything and therefore controls nothing. The peaceful man controls what he can and releases what he cannot. The worried man focuses on outcomes he cannot influence. The wise man focuses on actions he can direct. After you have completed your morning routine, after you have prepared your mind and body for the day ahead, after you have set your intentions and clarified your priorities, you must release your attachment to how things will unfold. You must trust that your preparation will serve you without demanding that it guarantee specific results. I learned this lesson governing an empire. I could plan carefully, choose wisely, act decisively, but I could not control every variable. I could not guarantee every outcome. I could not prevent every setback. My job was to do my part well, and then trust the process, trust the preparation, trust that what was meant to be would be. The man who cannot let go lives in constant tension. He holds too tightly to things beyond his control. He demands certainty in an uncertain world. He expects guarantees where none exist. He tries to force outcomes instead of allowing them to unfold naturally. The man who knows how to release lives in constant peace. He holds firmly to what he can influence and loosely to what he cannot. He acts with purpose, but without attachment to specific results. He works with intention, but without anxiety about outcomes. But let me ask you this. After you have done your morning routine, after you have prepared as well as you can, do you release your day with confidence or cling to it with anxiety? Do you trust your preparation or worry about what might go wrong? Do you act with detachment or attachment? Your morning routine gives you power over the beginning of your day, but it does not give you power over every moment that follows. It prepares you for challenges, but it does not prevent challenges from coming. It strengthens you for difficulties, but it does not eliminate difficulties from arising. This is not a failure of your routine. This is the nature of life. Variables beyond your control will always exist. Uncertainties will always remain. Surprises will always emerge. Your job is not to eliminate these realities, but to prepare yourself to handle them skillfully. Command your morning with discipline. Control what you can control with precision. Prepare your mind and body with intention. Then release your day with confidence. Let it unfold as it will unfold. Trust that your preparation will serve you regardless of what comes. The outcome is not your responsibility. Your effort is your responsibility. The results are not under your command. Your response is under your command. What happens to you is not always your choice. How you handle what happens to you is always your choice. Peace comes not from getting what you want, but from wanting what you get. Not from controlling circumstances, but from controlling your response to circumstances. Not from avoiding challenges, but from meeting challenges with strength. Not from preventing problems, but from solving problems with wisdom. You have done your morning work. You have prepared your mind. You have strengthened your body. You have clarified your intentions. You have set your priorities. You have done what is yours to do. Now release it. Let the day unfold. Trust your preparation. Act with confidence. Respond with wisdom. The disciplined morning creates the peaceful day, not because it prevents problems, but because it prepares you to handle problems. Not because it guarantees success, but because it builds capacity for success. Not because it controls outcomes, but because it develops character. Command the day with your preparation. Then let it go with your peace. This is the way of the Stoic. This is the path to tranquility. This is how you build a life the chaos cannot touch. You already have what it takes. Now go prove it.